Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. It is day 3. I am so excited. I'm so excited. I know I get excited every night, but I am really excited to be with you today. So just let me know before we start. Just let me know if you can see me okay. Also, let me know if you can hear me okay. Also, just type in where you're joining me from so I can sense who's on with me right now. But I'm really excited. Day 3 is going to be amazing. So just type it in the comments where you're from. Okay. Hey, Miss Jubri. It's great to have you back. It's great to have you back. Let's see who else is on. Let me know where you're joining me from. It's going to be a great night. Let's see who else. Now tonight. Okay, great. Thank you. You did wonder to my ego. Okay, great. Hey, Tess, how are you doing? How was your Walk It Out Wednesdays? So make sure you have your workbook. If you don't have your workbook yet, just check with your consultant and they will direct you on how to get it. But I wanted to just do a quick recap of the last 2 days. But before I do, make sure you have your drink, and I'm gonna give a special prize to who guesses what I have in here. There's some round circles and there's some things at the bottom. So take a guess of what I'm drinking. So make sure you grab something to drink, hopefully non-alcoholic, because I want you to stay with me. I want you to be very alert. Also, if you have anything that beeps, vibrates, and buzzes, make sure you turn it off. Pretend that you are giving this time to your client or it was a special massage, special self-care, because it is really taking care of yourself. So make sure you just diminish your distractions for the next 45 minutes. And that way you would just be able to get as much as you can. This session would benefit you as much as you can, because if you're going to spend the 45 minutes, you might as well get the most out of it. And also make sure that you're taking notes and you are interacting. And I like interaction because not only it's fun for me, but also it helps me to answer your questions. It helps me to guide your feedback, guide your questions, and guide you in terms of questions you have. So great guess, but take a look again. Can you see? There's no ginger. Take a look. So if you can look clearly, there's something at the bottom, and I'm pushing this really close up to the screen. So guess what is in there? It'll be fun to see what you come up with. So thanks for the guesses, guys, but no, it's not lemon and ginger. No lemon and ginger tonight. So just in a quick recap, on day 1, we laid a foundation. We spoke about really being aware of your fears. We spoke about, yay, that's right, guava. There's guava in there, and there's another ingredient. I'm gonna put it up close again. So there's guava, but look at the bottom. If you look at the bottom, you'll see some yellow seeds. Yay, passion fruit, great. So Tessa, you win a special prize. I'll message you about that. It's actually, it's going to be a workbook in terms of you creating really clear 2021, because I want us to make sure that we go into 21, not hopeful, but really confident and really precise, knowing that you have your strategy, it's planned out, you know exactly what's going to happen when, so you don't have to be hopeful. You are really, really clear in terms of what's going on. So that's your special prize. It's a workbook. So yay, everybody give Tessa a big hand. She was the first to come up with passion fruit. So yeah, it's guava and passion fruit. So just a quick tip, we're going to be doing health related flourishing tomorrow, but just a quick tip, you can add different fruits and different things to your water to make sure that it's not boring, it's exciting. And also too, it adds lots of vitamins and minerals to what you're drinking. So that's a quick tip, and we'll go more into that tomorrow. So as I was saying, on Monday, we spoke about a foundation. And then yesterday, we spoke about being clear in terms of our vision. We spoke about some dreams that we had in terms of what we can do with our passions. So for instance, I'd use Miss Dubry as an example. She's really great at writing and poetry and drama. So some of the things that came up were different ways in which she could use those talents in this current environment to be able to present it to people who would benefit from what she has to offer. Hey, Alexia, how are you? It's great seeing you. So if you have any questions about yesterday, or if yesterday was clear and Monday was clear, just type a yes in the comments, and I'll answer those questions. If not, I will gladly move on to today's session. So if there are any questions you have, if there's anything that you got out of yesterday, anything you got out of Monday that was really really stuck and was a real aha for you, you found it quite helpful, then just type it in the comment or type any questions that you have about any of the past 2 days, and I'll happily go through that with you. And while you're typing, I'm going to have a sip of my lovely passion fruit and guava infused water. And also let me know what you're drinking as well, because I want to make sure that you're staying hydrated. So today on day 3, if you have your workbook, we are going to talk a little bit about designing your space so you can flourish. So that is on page 6. So just go ahead and turn to page 6, and we're going to talk about designing your space and your life so you can truly flourish. And one of the things in terms of fears, sometimes one of the fears that we have is that we are afraid of sticking out. So we're afraid of looking like the black sheep, or we're afraid of looking like the odd person out. So in terms of moving forward and in terms of designing our life, a lot of times what happens is we design our life to fit in. We design our life to look like everybody else. And so in terms of the fear of looking different, or fear of, as much as we want to be unique, there's a really huge part of us that don't want to look too different, or look what people may call us as weird or crazy, or like, that Merle girl, she's nice and she smiles, but she's kind of crazy. Nobody wants that to be said about them, although I don't mind. But people, for the most part, we want to fit in. We don't want to be uncomfortable. And so there's a big fear around being really different, because just as a little bit of history and a little bit of background, back in our ancestral days when we were in tribes, if we did something that was different, or if we did something that was way off from what the tribe was used to, then we got kicked out. And then if we got kicked out, it meant, in terms of us physically surviving, then, it meant that it would be very difficult for us to survive, and we actually could physically die. We actually could physically die if we were very, very different. And if we go as early as in the early European history and the Renaissance period, especially as women, if women said things that were quote unquote not politically correct, or they did something that went against the popular rule, it didn't take much for them to be labeled as a witch, and they would get burnt at the stake. So a lot of that ancestral memory, a lot of that fear is still built into us. And so there's a lot of fear in terms of really speaking out, a lot of fear in terms of really being different, because our ancestors could have physically died from being fearful. And even now, in our current society, if you don't say, quote unquote, what the group says, sometimes you could get ostracized at your work. Sometimes the government or your employee or whoever, they may ostracize you. So there is a legitimate feeling, and there's a legitimate reason to be fearful. Is that making sense? Has anyone ever felt they wanted to say something, but they were like, you know what, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to go to this job, and because I have my mortgage to pay, I'm going to go ahead and just hold my tongue, because if I tell these people what I'm going to say, they're going to hold it against my child, they're going to hold it against my children, and it's going to really be detrimental to my family. I know I've held my tongue and my peace a lot, and sometimes just walk on the edge of being extra careful because I didn't want to rock the boat a lot. And I'm sure it's not just only me who've been extra careful sometimes because of that fear, and it's legitimate, and I don't want to minimize that. So if that's true for you, if you've done that, if you've felt like you've had to sometimes diminish who you are because you're afraid of the repercussions, then that's normal. That's normal. So Alexia says, thank you, Alexia. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, Tessa, that's true. It's scary and it's fearful. But you know what's really scary? And I learned that in my marriage, and I think that I mentioned it a little bit before, but I'm going to be just completely vulnerable and share with you. And that's why I have this group private, because I think it's important for me to be upfront and completely honest. When I got married, I knew before that it was a mistake, and there was a part of me that was afraid. I thought, well, everybody's getting married, I'm getting old. And it's really silly, but in our mind, we think, okay, I need to get married by 25 so I could have my children by 30, so that I fit into the dream of how society says our life should be. So sometimes we stay in relationships longer than we know we're supposed to. We enter into relationships and we do things that we know it's not in our best interest, because we are afraid of not following society's norms. We do things that actually hurt us, and it actually kills our spirit and kills us inside, because we're afraid of going against the norm, or looking like, what's wrong with her? She's pretty. Like, why isn't she married, or why doesn't she have kids? And we kind of feel like we have to follow along with those things. If I'm the only one that's done that, that's okay. But I'm sure I'm not the only one who's done things that they knew deep down wasn't quite the best thing for them, but they do it anyway because they're afraid of being looking abnormal or being ostracized. Yeah, Tessa says, yeah, these ideas ingrained in us from a very, very young age. Oh, that's great, Lucy. You found ways to say what you have to say sometimes, which is really good. And so when it came down to it, and when after I got married, and the abuse got worse, and it was just really horrible. And what's really sad is I've always been kind of happy-go-lucky, I've always been bubbly and smiley. And when I got into my marriage and the abuse was just so much, and it was just really that painful, that's one of the only times in my life I actually considered committing suicide. It was really that bad. And I realized, when it got to that point, I realized, I'm not so scared of society abandoning me, But when it came down to all of it, it was like when I dug deep, it was like, what's really sad was that I abandoned myself. And I couldn't live with that anymore. I couldn't live with the fact that I abandoned myself. Because of the fears and because of all those fears. And we'll actually go through in terms of blasting through some of those more fears later in the Flourish program, which I'll tell you a little bit more later if that's okay. But what was really hurtful was that I had abandoned myself, and that really scared me, like really bad. And if there's one thing that I could get across to you, if you get nothing out of the first 3 days or out of the 5 days, is that it's just like when it comes down to it, if you never abandon yourself, if everybody else abandons you, but you never abandon yourself, and you could look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, you know what? I stood up for what I believed in. Like I stood up for me and I didn't abandon me. Because when everything else goes away and everything else falls to the wayside, once you actually stand up for who you are, it actually, I don't know what I mean, I don't know how to put it into words, but there's something like quite, what's the word? It's energizing. Like it gives you like such a power when you actually start standing up for yourself and for your, like for you feel the fear, but you truly decide, no matter what, I choose me and I will stand up for myself no matter what. And when you decide to do that, there's something that just switches and you become such a strength to yourself. And it's not easy. So don't take away that, oh, it's easy and you're just gonna, you know what I mean? But when you choose to just stand up for yourself and say, no matter what, I choose me. No matter what, I choose to make sure I go after my business because really that's what's on my heart. I choose me no matter what. And when you decide to do that, something just energizes you and you're willing to do whatever it takes. You're willing to, even though you're not quite sure of how to move forward, you move forward anyway. Even though you're not sure about your business or your program, you decide, okay, I'm going to get the help. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to the next level. And you just decide to like take the next step and move forward. And along the way, when you decide to not abandon you, like, you know, I don't want to get too religious, but God, spirit, universe, whatever you believe in, put things in your way, in your pathway so that doors open, you know, like things open up that things you may not have even expected, like things open up for you. And like another step comes up and another step comes up and another step comes up. So if there's anything that I want you to get away from this is be completely true to yourself and never abandon yourself no matter what. And even though the fears come up, and we'll deal with those fears and, you know, we'll do different things to make sure that we're standing for our truth, but never abandon yourself no matter what. Is that clear? So I'd like people, whoever is choosing to stand in their truth, to type, I choose me. And no matter what, I choose me, I will not abandon myself. So just type that so that I know that you are with me and that you're choosing you and that you're willing to bust through your fears and choose you no matter what. So if you are with me and you're choosing to not abandon yourself and you're choosing you, then type, I choose me, and no matter what, I won't abandon myself. And if I got emotional, I apologize. But I just, like every time I think of that and I think of how I abandoned myself before and now choosing to really choose me no matter what. And it's not easy, I promise you. But you know, if there's something I could tell you at the end of the day, when you choose you and you choose not to abandon yourself, it makes those obstacles a lot easier to overcome. It gives you a spirit, like a indomitable spirit that you're you're willing to take the next step in terms of, yes, this is important to me. I'm going to do this no matter what. This is my goal. This is what my life was meant to be. I am going to choose this no matter what. And once you choose you, then things just start beginning to open up and your life begins to change. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and put some of these on the screen, because it's really important that we decide, like, I choose me no matter what. Regardless of what happens, regardless of the obstacles, you choose to always stand by yourself. Okay? Excellent. So today, in terms of creating a flourishing environment, in terms of making sure that your life flourishes, if you take your workbook out, there's a question that says, I'm just going through the page here. It says, the things you say blank to are just as important as the things you say blank to, right? What advice, okay, before I go through that, Lucy says, what advice do you have for procrastinators like me? So sometimes when we procrastinate, there are a lot of things that could cause procrastination. One of those things is that, one, we are afraid of what would happen when we complete it. Two, sometimes when we procrastinate, we actually get a kind of adrenaline from the rush of doing it last minute. It kind of gives us like a nice little buzz, like, ooh, that kind of energy, and it energizes us. Also, too, sometimes when we procrastinate, it's because we're not extremely clear on the strategy of what is it that we're doing. So I'm going to give you a quick example. And in Flourish, which I'll tell you about a little bit later, one of the things we do is create a clear strategy. But if anyone here is familiar with Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it talks about filling your bucket. So pretend you have a bucket here, and with procrastination and doing all the extra stuff, those are the sand that we put in. But if you fill your bucket with the big rocks, so the big rocks are those things that inspire you. So what we're going to be doing is focusing on those things that really inspire you and are going to move you forward. And sometimes too, when we procrastinate, sometimes we just need accountability. You know what I mean? Sometimes, I know it's really good to think sometimes we're disciplined, but if you and I were accountability partners, let me put that back here. If you and I were accountability partners, and I promised you, okay, we're going to do this so that I can we're going to make sure that for 2021, we get into the best shape of our lives. We're going to make sure that our business flourishes. So in order to get into the best shape of our lives as accountability partners, we're going to go running in the mornings at 6 o'clock. Now, if you are doing it by yourself, at 6 o'clock, when your alarm goes off, then you're going to hit the snooze button if you're just by yourself. However, if Tessa and Lucy got together and said, we're going to meet each other at the park at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to go running for half an hour. We're going to do it 3 times a week so that we really make sure that our bodies are in shape and we're in the best shape of our lives. Okay, so both Tessa and Lucy said, we're going to meet at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, Lucy's going to feel like a complete unreliable person if she had Tessa waiting in the park at 6 o'clock and didn't show up. Because she doesn't want Tessa to think she's unreliable. And Tessa's going to feel like she's a complete douchebag if she doesn't show up, and have poor Lucy wake up out of her bed and not show up either. So because you have somebody who's holding you accountable, like somebody's still waiting for you at 6 o'clock in the morning to go for that run, then you're more than likely to do it. And so accountability helps. So sometimes having an accountability partner helps in terms of making sure that you keep your goals. Does that make sense? And in Flourish, we definitely go through accountability and making sure that we keep each other accountable. But having an accountability partner sometimes help with procrastination. Also, to figuring out the why behind you're doing what you're doing is also important, and it helps with procrastination because, like, if you know that the reason why I am really focusing on doing, I'm going to use Lucy as an example. So the reason why I'm focusing on doing my bookkeeping business is because I really want to make sure that my center in Dominica is really helping and making sure I'm having an impact on the youth. And you think about, you see you see at least 100 different young people coming in and out of your youth center. You see them growing up and telling their children, it's because of what Lucy did that my life has changed. I was able to go to secondary school, get my A levels, my O levels. I was able to start my own business. I was able to do this. I was able to, fulfill my dream. And so if you take your vision and you really sit down and you become clear on the impact of what you're doing is having on the families and how people's lives are going to change, because your vision is really helping people's life change. I'll also use Miss Dewberry, you know what I mean? So Miss Dewberry is really excellent at drama, and she's excellent at storytelling and really creating a vision and teaching and breaking things down into small segments. And imagine the number of students whose lives would have benefited because she decided, okay, I'm not going to procrastinate in marking these papers. I'm going to really give it my all to make sure that these students get my all 100% from me. And when they grow up, you know what I mean? Imagine how different Montserrat is going to be, or how different their life is going to be, because I chose to really act on what was important, and I chose to take that next step. So if you see in the future how your vision is impacting the people who are benefiting, remember yesterday we spoke about people who are getting food, who you're feeding with your light, who you're feeding with your vision. If you really was able to implement that and see that, then it also helps with your procrastination. So I'll just do a quick recap. One, sometimes we get a rush from procrastination. Two, sometimes we're not really clear we're doing it, but we're doing it because we think we have to, and we don't really feel as passionate about it. So that could be one of the reasons why we procrastinate. Three, sometimes we just need someone to hold us accountable and have an accountability partner. Four, sometimes because we don't really see far or realize how impactful doing what the activity is, how completing it is impacting the people in our lives or the people that are going to be affected by us, then we procrastinate because the importance isn't there. So as I had mentioned earlier, in terms of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, he really gives a good example. So imagine there's a bucket, and in the bucket, we're going to put our big rocks in, which the bucket that's our goals, our really big goals and visions, and the activity that we need to do to move our vision to the next goal, or to make sure that our 2021 is completely flourishing and that we're flourishing. So that's our big rock. Then the small rocks or the small pebbles are things that are nice to do, but if you fill the bucket with those, then you won't be able to get the big rocks in. And then with the sands are just different distractions. So those are things that you do and it keeps you busy, but it doesn't really move the needle forward. So you do it just to preoccupy your, you do it to preoccupy yourself, and you look busy and you look like, oh, I'm really active. I'm really, I'm doing all these things and my day's full and I'm tired at the end of the day. But in terms of it actually being a real mover in terms of your goal, it's just sand. So the first thing you're going to do is put in the big rocks. Then you'll put the pebbles in because there'll be space. And then the last thing is the busy work and the sand. Is that clear? Alexia says that accountability part, and she's laughing. But it's true though. If it's like, Alexia, if you promise Danushka that you're going to meet with her and go for a walk, you're more than likely to keep your word because you know that she's waiting on you and you value your friendship. And so you're going to do what it takes to make sure that you keep your word, you maintain your friendship, and you don't let her down. And if you don't follow through and you don't keep your word, afterwards she'll think that you're unreliable and you're not a good friend, and your friendship, it'll ruin your friendship, and it ruins your relationship. So having someone to hold you accountable, having someone to keep you on track, on target, because when it's challenging to get things done by ourselves, and that's why it's so important to get into a program, get into a group, get into that space where you have someone holding you accountable and someone like keeping you on track, and also to like creating a strategy so that where is it that you're going, what you're going to be doing next. So it's like in Flourish, we know what we're going to do for December to make sure that the next year in 2021 works out great. So we know what we're doing in January, we know what we're doing in February, and it's very clear, like this is what we do each week, so that we meet our goals, so that you don't have to get up and think, oh, what am I going to do today? And it's kind of uncertain, and you just kind of lollygag through the day. It's pretty clear in terms of this is what I'm going to be doing so that I can move forward. I know I said a mouthful, so I'm going to grab some water. But if that answered your question, I know I kind of went around the playground and around the park, Lucy, but I really wanted you to be clear. I hope my explanation helped with that. So if that answered your question, if you need me to elaborate some more about that, then just let me know, and I'd be happy to go through that some more. Yeah, I do get that rush as well. I do get that procrastination rush. It's like that adrenaline, that last minute, like, ooh, So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So I'll just wait for a second, see if there are any questions. I'll just wait to hear from Lucy if that was clear, or if anybody else thought it was clear. Just type yes or give me a thumbs up in the comments. Okay, great, good. So I'm glad that you understood. So in our workbook, it says the things that you say blank to are just as critical as the things you say blank to. So the things that you say, what's in my glass? Okay, so in my glass tonight, it's infused with guava and passion fruit. So there's passion fruit at the bottom, and then there's guava. So it's just a little technique I use sometimes to give my water a burst of flavor, and it seeps in, adds nutrients, adds some nice fresh taste. So that's something you can do as well. And tomorrow in the flourishing in terms of your body and in your health, so that your business, you have the energy to sustain your business, then we'll go through some different health things. So, okay, great. So Afrie says it was helpful for her. Great. So in your notes, if you're writing or if you're filling it in, what I want you to fill in is the things you say no to are just as important and critical to your flourishing as the things you say yes to. So a lot of times we have a to-do list of the things that we're going to do and the things that we want. But it's really also important to have a not to-do list. Okay? So a not to-do list is a list of things that we are no longer going to do, because those things that we're doing and those things are taking up space that shouldn't be, or they're not moving our life forward. So an example is a not to do list for me is I am not going to abandon myself. But that's quite generic. So let me just break this down simply. So I am not going to start my mornings without some form of physical activity, okay? Because for me, like, look at my muscles. Anyway, um, doing some kind of activity helps me to feel energized, right? A not to do list is I am going to say no to events and to people who I feel are wasting my energy and making me feel tired. You know what I mean? A no to me, a no, when my a not to do list is like, there are a lot of people who get a lot of energy from drinking alcohol. For me, when I drink, it makes me feel tired. And if you look at me, I'm quite hyper. I mean, can you imagine me being a little bit more hyper than this? So on my not to do list is not drinking alcohol. If you drink alcohol, that's fine with you. That's fine, for you, because everybody's body is different. But for my body, it's just a no. A not to do list for me is no to drugs, because I find that if I'm going to be taking drugs, I think it will diminish my energy. I won't have focus and attention on my business, and it'll probably be the end of me. I don't try drugs, so I don't know, but I've read and seen so many stories of people who've done that, and it's diminished your life. A not to do list is, I'm not going to waste time spending 10 hours on social media. You know what I mean? So my not to do list is, I'm going to go on for 3 hours or however long you allocate the time, and I'm not going to be on there wasting my time aimlessly. So those are examples. Are those clear, or do you want me to give some more examples? If it's clear, just type yes, so I know you're following me. Meaning, another not to do is, I'm not gonna have my house disorganized. I mean, I'm not the most organized person, truth be told, but I keep it organized in such a way that I have things in certain places, so I know where to go to get certain things. Things are not just thrown all over the sofa. Things are pretty, it's orderly, so that I don't fall behind or just feel like I'm pulling my hair out trying to find where things are. Now, Lucy, I could need your help because you're extremely organized, and having more order and more organization in my life may be better for me. But those are just some of the things on my not to do list. A not to do for me is, not getting enough sleep. Like, getting sleep is really important in terms of regenerating our bodies, making sure that our body repairs itself. Like, sleep is critical. Sleep is really important. And we'll go through that tomorrow in terms of body and flourishing in that way. Okay, great. So it's making sense. So I'd like you to type in for me some of your not to do's, some things that you're not going to be doing, so that you make sure that your life is flourishing, your life is, is optimal, and that your life is moving forward in the best way possible. So just type in for me some of your not to do's, so I could see some of the things that you're choosing not to do. It'd be fun to hear some of those things that you're choosing not to do. You're choosing to cut out. So you're going to cut these out so that your life experience is a lot better. You're cutting out. Like, what are you going to stop doing? You know what I mean? So you stop doing certain things just so that you are flourishing more, and that your life. Not forget to exercise. Great. And so just a real quick tip. I can't see your name because it's not on StreamYard, but just a quick tip for the Facebook user that spoke about not forgetting to exercise is a really great tip is if you need help in terms of accountability, then definitely find somebody that would hold you accountable and that would help you exercise. Tessa, who's on the stream, she also has a morning program that she does every day in terms of exercising. Hey, Gary, it's great to have you here. So Tessa has an exercise program that she does every day that helps with exercise and keeping your body in motion. So you could definitely touch base with her, and she would be able to give you some tips in terms of exercising, things that you can do. And definitely, what I want you to do is, Gary, is put it on your calendar. I think when you schedule things, it gets done. And you're pretty, I mean, I'm sure you're pro at scheduling, but make sure it's on your schedule, on your calendar, that every morning, or if it's every other day, but put it in so that you can commit to it. It's there. It's like, it's part of your daily activity, making sure it's scheduled. And that way, it's something that you're going to do, and have an accountability buddy, or at least somebody you could call if no one's willing to wake up at 5 with you, or wake up at 6 o'clock to go run with you. Make sure there's someone you could call and say, hey, I did this. And then also too, what works is have a consequence for not doing it. So you might tell your buddy or your person, like, hey, if I don't go running and I miss 2 days, I'm gonna pay you $100. Now, if you pay $100 once, I don't think you wanna pay $500 at the end of the week. I mean, that's gonna be a bit steep. So you make it where it costs you not to do it. And that sometimes keep things, helps in terms of accountability. So Afria says, not eating wheat or sugar or dairy or meat. Yeah, because you want to make sure that your body is well. And those things you probably found for your body, and everybody's body is different, but you probably found for your body that eating those wasn't really helpful for you. Edith says, no use of alcohol, always pray, read each day, not too many friends. So meaning, yeah, I guess in your case, having too many people could be a distraction, or you keep your circle small and just make sure that those persons in your circle are really supportive, have your back. Those persons are people who are, no matter what, supporting you and giving you, like, speaking to you in a truthful way. Because you don't want friends, I know this is a tangent, but you don't want friends who are just yes people, or who are going to affirm everything that you say. You want people who are going to be honest with you and truthful. And so they will share feedback in a truthful way, so that you can grow, and that you know exactly where they're coming from. It doesn't mean you're going to take the advice, but definitely it's just really good to have people that could be truthful to you. So at least they're telling you the truth. Lucy says no to coffee, no to lack of sleep. Great. No to last minute work. Excellent. Alexia says, stop being lazy when it comes to exercising and dieting. And I'll help you with that, Alexia. So yeah, definitely you want to make sure that you stop those activities that are not going to move you forward. You're going to stop those activities that are going to make you feel less than your optimal self. You stop those activities that are going to make you not flourish. You're going to stop those activities that you're doing but aren't in your best interest. So once you have your stop doing list, once you know what you're going to stop, then you're going to look at what is it you're going to start doing. Like, one of those things you're going to start doing might be, I'm going to start getting help. I'm going to start, putting things in my life that's going to hold me accountable. You know what I mean? I am going to start being around people or have support systems around me who are going to give me strategies, who are going to help keep me accountable, who are going to help me to get to the next level. You know what I mean? I'm going to make sure that I set my alarm. So I have my alarm, and if you have, regardless of whatever phone you have, if it's an Android or iPhone, there are apps on there that helps you in terms of telling you need to go to sleep now. So you could use your technology to make you go to sleep. There's technology that's available to help you to do more breathing exercises. You could also go to YouTube or wherever to learn different techniques or different exercise rhythms. So there are different, there are people in the group like Tessa who does exercise. In terms of being more organized, there are people in the group like Lucy who are really great at organizing. So, I'm going to make sure I reach out to people who are better at that skill than I am to make sure I get to the next level. Because one of the things I found in terms of my personal life and moving forward is I know I'm pretty, and I'm not bragging or anything, but I'm nerdy and I'm pretty brilliant. I'm a brilliant person, but I don't want to be the most brilliant person of the people that I hang out with. I want to be around people who are just as brilliant or who are brilliant at something that I'm not good at. Because regardless of how brilliant you are, you can't be great at everything. Plus also too, it's not in your best interest to try and do every single thing. There are things that it's really important to have someone else who that's their area of genius, who that's what they're really good at, do that for you. So surround yourself with people who are really great at or better at you at some skill so that you can be able to focus on that skill, but also to what's the word? The word's missing me, but the concept is that you are able to delegate that out to those people so that your life and your business gets better. So for instance, if you're not really great at organizing and you really value having a clean house or organized house, it's more important to spend the $100 on getting someone to come in and clean or organize for you, and they do it within 45 an hour or even a day versus you spending 2 weeks in a pile, in a mess and not getting done. Because that 2 weeks that you're spending on an area where you're not really good at, that someone could come in and do it in a shorter time frame, give you tips on how to do it. And it frees up time so you can focus on helping the people that you're meant to serve. Is that clear? If it is, just type yes. Alexia says, you're going to be more calm and less aggressive. That's great. That's great. If I'm making sense, then just type yes in the comments below. So, okay, great. Tessa says yes, yes. Good. So I'm glad that you're following me. I'm glad that it's making sense. Yet we're gonna, good. Afri says, yeah, it makes sense. Yes, it makes sense. So you could just go ahead and use your stop doing list, and then you could pivot off, and that would be a homework to create the list of things that now you're gonna do. So you're gonna create the list of, these are what I'm going to be doing. So these are all the things I want to do. And I'm gonna give you a little secret. Don't tell anybody else. So one of the things that I found really helpful for me is I did what's called a brain dump. And so instead of having all of those ideas running around in my head like crazy, I just wrote down every single thing that was running around in my head. So these are what's really important for me to do. These are really what's important for me to do. And like I wrote down, and it took me a couple pages. I mean, I'm telling you, I think a lot. So I just wrote and just spent some time. And the more time you spend, the more clarity you'll get. If you don't have much time, then do the best you can, but at least just start getting things out of your head. Because a confused mind take no action. Write that down, remember that. So there are a couple of things I want you to remember today. If somebody could type that in the chat, that'd be great. One of the things I said to remember, that was earlier in the comments. And then the second thing is a confused mind takes no action. And a confused mind also procrastinates. So what I want to do is just take some time and just write out everything. Write out. And then just prioritize. Like, what is it? What's really important? You know what I mean? What is it that's going to get me to my next level? What is it that's really going to get me to to really move the needle forward. So these are what I'm going to stop doing, but what is it that I'm going to do to get me to move forward and to really create the best thing for myself? And, like just kind of go through and write the list out of the things that you're going to be doing. And then by each item that you write out, type an A for like, this is like a real big deal. So your A's are your big deals. And then the B's they're nice, but they're not as big of a deal as your A's. And then your C's. So you get everything out. You clear everything. You clear every single thing out. And then what you do is you just focus on your A's for the time being. So you're prioritizing, and that really helps in terms of getting things out, helps in keeping you focused. It helps with not procrastinating as much because you have a guide in terms of what you're going to be doing. And then it gives you some energy back because everything isn't just swirling around in your head. It becomes a lot clearer, and it helps you to move forward. And we'll do more of this in Flourish, and I'll tell you more about Flourish tomorrow or on Friday. It's a 90-day program, but yeah, just writing things out and getting it out of your head is a really great way of keeping your head clear, giving you your energy back, because your energy isn't sucked with everything that's in your head. Okay, great. So if you're finding this useful, if you're finding this helpful, just type yes that you're following. And I'm waiting for someone to type in the comments what the two takeaways that I said were. The last one is a confused mind doesn't take action. So what was the first thing that I said? The first two things I really want you to take away from today. So if you could type that for me, that'd be great. Excellent, Alexia. I choose me. And what was the second one? Well, I just said that. But yeah, I choose me. I won't abandon myself. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and tag that again because I think that's really important. Okay. Okay, great. So you're choosing you and you're never abandoning yourself. Great. And a confused mind. Oops, let me show that again. A confused mind doesn't take action. Great. Good. So your homework is to go ahead and let me put this back here. Your homework is to make sure that you go ahead and do your to-do list. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to prioritize. Okay, I'm having a difficult time. You're going to prioritize what is it that you're going to do, your A, B's, and C's. And, that would give you some clarity. Just dump it all out, dump it out. And then always remember, never abandon yourself. And I'm hoping that you found today helpful. I'm hoping you got some really great ahas from it. If you did, just share with me what you got out of today. And I really like to make sure that I honor your time and, make sure you're getting enough in bite-sized chunks. So I try not to go over the hour. So just let me know what you found useful. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, that'd be really great. Let me know if you're excited about it tomorrow as well. Actually, I'm going to have a surprise tomorrow. I think I'm gonna bring on two persons that I'm currently two persons I'm currently working with in terms of their health and using their health to flourish. So that would be fun. It'd be good to see another face besides mine. So that's gonna be tomorrow. But remember your homework. If someone could type what the homework is in the chat as well, that would be great. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what your biggest takeaway from today was. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. So while you're typing that, I'm going to have my sip of water infused with guava and passion fruit. Great. That's a lovely mantra. I choose to work on my business. Excellent. I think that's really great. So I'm going to show that. I choose to work on my business. Excellent. Great. If someone could type the homework in, that would be great. And also let me know if there's anything that what you got, what was the biggest aha, what you got out of today's call. If you found it valuable, if you found it useful, that'd be great as well. So yeah, let me know what you've got out of today. And yeah, I'm definitely excited about tomorrow as well. That should be fun. Okay, so homework list of things to start doing, and great. Great, thanks Afri for writing that. So yeah, our homework is a list of things to start doing and a list of things to stop doing. Great. If you've been finding the workbook helpful as well, just type yes, so that I know that you're benefiting and you're getting value from this. So the homework is pinned on the screen, and it's really to make a list of the things to start doing and a list of things to stop doing. Okay. Great. So Tessa got staying true to herself, which is great. You choose you, and no matter what, you're not going to abandon yourself. There's something freeing and liberating in not abandoning yourself. So I'm going to show that. Lucy says, for procrastinators, find an accountability partner, and that's her takeaway. Great. Good. Great. Any other, if there's any other breakthroughs, I'd love to see that. But I really want to thank you so much for just following along each night, for really participating, for doing your homework, and just allowing me to come into your homes for an hour every day. So thank you. And if no one has any questions, then I definitely look forward to seeing you. Also, if you find this useful and you know that there's someone else who would definitely benefit from this, then I'd be really happy if you can share this with them, share the link with them, and so they could also get value from them. Afre says that her aha was choosing herself, even if it goes against expectations and tradition. Exactly. Yeah. Great. Yeah, it's I promise you it's not easy, but once you do it, there's something that opens up, and it's liberating. It's definitely liberating once you do that. Yeah, Alexia says staying true to herself and never ever forget about herself, no matter what. Afri says allowing herself to say no to things that do not serve her purpose. Great. I will have a pleasant nap. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for this evening. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you're excited about tomorrow, say yes as well. And I'll see you then. Have a great one. I love you. Take care. Bye-bye.